All right, so let's walk through the calculation of lifetime value of customers one time. I have in the in week 3 files a paper by Arthur Middleton Hughes that explains the lifetime value calculation. But I'm going to walk through each of those calculations here in this video. Now, it's key that you watch this video with the notion that you're going to be asked at the conclusion of this video with an assignment for this week to actually calculate lifetime value of customers in a couple of different situations. All right, so lifetime value of customers. Many marketers talk about customer lifetime value, but few have actually calculated it. The process is not that difficult. When you finish this lecture, you'll be an expert and will be able to calculate lifetime value of customers. Well, maybe you won't be an expert, but at least you'll be someone who knows how to calculate lifetime value. So what again is lifetime value? Lifetime value is the average expected profit that you will realize from the sales to a particular group of customers in the future. It builds on past customer history, but lifetime value is about future expectations. It is an estimate, therefore, not a calculation of actual value. It is based primarily on the expected retention rate, spending rate, plus other factors that are easy to determine. So let's start. Okay, so here's a lifetime value table. And in this lifetime value table, you'll notice that it goes out 4 years. And in the first line on this table, we have customers. Now, we talked about customer bases in the last lecture. So these are 1,200 customers that we have acquired. Now, these may be 1,200 customers that we acquired in a particular way with a contest, or maybe they're all referrals, or maybe they responded to a YouTube video, or maybe they were referred by a YouTube influencer. So we have these customers, and you'll notice that we start off with 1,200 customers, and then the number of customers goes down every year depending on how many customers we have retained. But on the first line, it is the number of customers that we start with, and then how many customers we have in each successive year. If I were to run this table out 7 or 8 years, of course, we would be down to many fewer customers than we have here, probably down into the 100 customer category. The second line and the most important number in all of the lifetime value table is the retention rate. That is, how many customers did we retain from one year to the next? And here you notice that with the retention rate is 0.65 or 65%. That means 6.5 out of every 10 customers we have are retained to the next year. Now notice how we've made this calculation from year to year. If you take 1,200 customers from this year and you multiply that number by 0.65 or 65%, you'll get 780 customers. And then if you multiply 780 customers by 0.65, you'll get 507 customers. So you can see that when you build this lifetime value table, that the year 2 number where 780 is would be a formula that multiplies year 1 customers, the previous year's customers, times the retention rate to get the next year's customers. And you can see how you can run this out for 4 years. Once you build the lifetime value table, if it doesn't make a difference if it's 1 year or 15 years, we can always make that calculation. Third, we need to be able to calculate spending rate. Now remember, we talked about spending rate was the amount of money that an individual spent per year on the average with the organization. Here the spending rate is $150 per year. Now ordinarily we would expect spending rates to go up over time, and we would expect retention rates to go up over time. But in this case, we're going to try to make the calculations as simple as possible. So we're going to leave the spending rate the same over time. Then we need revenues. Well, how do we calculate revenues? Well, let's see here. We remember that from our accounting class, and remember that from our Business 103 class, and remember this from every other class that we've had that talks about business rather than something else. Revenues are what? It's the spending rate times the number of customers. So how do I get $180,000 in revenue? Well, I'm going to multiply the number of customers times the spending rate, 180,000. So guess how much it would be if I multiplied 780 customers times $150? That's right, 117,000. How about 507 customers times $150? That's right, $76,000 and $76,050. That's how I calculate, and that's how I build a formula for revenues. What about variable costs? Well, variable costs usually is set up as a percentage of the amount of money I spent on goods and services. So in this case, the calculation is fairly straightforward, right? My revenues were, for year one, were $180,000, and so if my variable costs are 50% of that, it's easy for me to build a formula where I simply take the revenues and I multiply them by the variable cost percentage. 180, 90, 117, 58.5, 76.50, 38.25, and 49,432, 24,716. Next, I need to be able to calculate marketing costs if they're included in the table. In this case, it's how much? It's $30 per customer. So how would I calculate marketing costs each year? Well, I'd figure out how many customers I had left for that year, and I would multiply it by 30. So for year one, I have 1,200 customers. At $30 a customer, it would be 36,000. The second year, 780 times 30, 23.4. And you can see how that calculation is made and how you would build that formula into this spreadsheet. Okay, next I have profits. Well, how do I calculate the profit for any particular year? Well, let's see. Remember how that story goes? Profit is equal to revenue minus costs. And in this case, I have the revenues, I have the variable costs, and I have the marketing costs. So let's take the first year. The first year, the calculation of profit is $180,000 minus 90 and minus 36 for a total of 54,000. The second year, the total is 35,100. The fourth year is $14,829. Once again, it's relatively easy to see how we're going to build this formula to make that calculation from year to year. The next thing I'm interested in is the discount rate. Well, how do I calculate the discount rate? Well, the discount rate is something that I have to determine. And you'll notice here that I have calculated the discount rate to be 6%. All right, and so that means that I have calculated that $1 today is worth $1.06 a year from now. Now, when I calculate the discount rate, it's important to understand how this is done. So the first year, there is no discount rate because it's the current year. The second year, it's the discount rate. And then the third year, it's the discount rate doubled. And the third year, it's the discount rate multiplied by the discount rate to the third. And it goes on and on and on. So it's not simply adding 6% per year. It is multiplying 1.06 times another 1.06. And then in year 4, which is the third year out, it's 1.06 times 1.06 times 1.06. And guess what it's like in year 5? Then it's 1.06 to the fourth. And it goes on and on and on. What about the net present profit? All right, so how do I calculate net present value? Well, I take the profit for that individual year, and then I divide it by the discount rate. So in the first year, the discount rate is 1, so net present value of profit is 1. In the second year, my profits were $35,100. But to get the net present value of profit, I need to divide that 35.1 by the discount rate, 1.06. And that's how I get 33,113. In year 3, I have to take 22,815 and I have to divide it by 1.12. So you'll notice that the percentage spread between the profit and the net present value of profit widens every year. So that's how I calculate the net present value. Now notice that it's done each individual year. Then I need to be able to calculate the net present value of cumulative profits. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, the first year my profits were $54,000, right? Well, my second year my cumulative profit was $54,000 plus $35,100 for $89,100. But to calculate the net present cumulative value of profits, I have to take my first year profits and then I have to add the net present value of the profits for the next year. So it's $54,000 plus $33,133, which gets me to $87,113. Then I have $87,113, and the next year my net present value of profit is $20,305. So I add $20,305 to the $87,113, and I get $107,418. So you should be able to see here how you would build the net cumulative profit formula into this. And then the finale of all of this is the calculation of lifetime value. Okay, and so in this case, at the end of 4 years, my net present value cumulative profit is $119,869. Okay, so in 4 years, these 1,200 customers have generated $126,744 in profits, but the net present value of those cumulative profits is $119,869. So if I take $119,869 and I divide it by the starting number of customers. If I divide it by the starting number of customers, notice that's the green 1,200 at the top. So if I take $119,869 and divide it by 1,200, the number is $99.89. So the lifetime value of a customer at this point is $99.89. That means that each of the 1,200 customers that I acquired in year 1, on the average, was worth $99.89, or roughly $100 each to me individually. Now, it doesn't mean that every customer was worth $99.89, right? It means that what? The average customer was worth $12.89. Now, customers that I've retained for 4 years are worth more than $99. But the customers that I lost between year 1 and year 2, well, they're worth less than $99. Some have spent more money than the average of $150. Others have spent less money than the average of $150. And so their individual lifetime values numbers are all changed. But of the 1,200 people I got, each one of them was roughly worth $99.89 to the organization. So in summary, you need to be able to build spreadsheets using formulas to make these calculations. And then you need to be able to identify how lifetime value changes when each of the variables change. And so what I'll be doing is giving you a couple of homework assignments for you to give you a chance to see if you can make those calculations.